Hey everybody, before we get started today, I'd like to give special thanks to Raycon for sponsoring today's video. Now these are really making the rounds nowadays. The company was co-founded by Ray J and celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Cardi B, Melissa Etheridge, J.R. Smith, Brandy. They're obsessed with Raycons. And there's a multitude of reasonings for that. Well, first off, they're like half the price of other premium wireless earbuds on the market today. And they sound just as good as all the other audio brands you might know. I love music of all varieties, whether I'm doing household chores, when I'm doing grocery shopping, or just outside the house in general taking care of business. I gotta have something in my head playing. And when it comes to that, I normally like to go for like Bluetooth earbuds so that I don't have like annoying wires or the stubs getting in the way. Thankfully, Raycon and their new E25 True Wireless earbuds has me covered. I can't say enough how much I love the charging case and the sleek design of the earbuds. They fit, just nice and snugly inside your ear, and you barely notice them. So I'd take caution if you're gonna wear these out in a public event. You got someone out in the distance calling you, not realizing you're wearing this. Is like, what the hell, this guy's not listening to what I'm saying. The earbuds themselves last about 6 hours, but with the charging case fully charged, that can go up to 24 hours. Perfect for those international flights. You got seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass for that crunchy sound, and more compact design gives you a nice noise isolating fit. And it comes in a variety of colors, if black and blue is not your thing. You can save 15% off your order by following the link you see in the video here, or by clicking the link in the description below. Again, that's the new Raycon E25 lineup. Super comfy to wear, super affordable. It's like chocolate and peanut butter mixing together. So get yourself a pair when you can. And now, on with the show. Hey, welcome back everybody. Good to see you all again. I got 3 games to cover for today's video. 3 of these sons of bitches, but why am I doing that? Well, that's because I know these Kirby videos are kind of far apart given the whole dual marathon setup, so the more games I can cover at once, the better. Although, I say that and the next video is just going to be Kirby 64 standalone, so yeah, we'll work that out. That said, it is Kirby. Every game doesn't need a 20-minute thesis. You suck shit up copy abilities and jump everywhere. That's a huge overgeneralization, I'm aware, but you get where I'm going, I hope. Also, ever since I stated that these 3 games were next up, I got a couple of you that questioned why I didn't just bundle Dreamland 2 and 3 with 64, since they're sort of linked. Why throw in Superstar into the mix? To put it simply, and there you go. For these marathons, I always tend to look at things in chronological order. I've been like that for as long as I can remember. At least with mainline games, spin-offs are their own little thing. Superstar was released between Dreamland 2 and Dreamland 3, so in the docket it goes. However, for the sake of making things flow better for this video, I will be taking a look at Superstar last, for reasons that might be incredibly obvious to longtime Kirby enthusiasts. With that said, it's time for Kirby's Dream Land 2 for the Game Boy. I know it may seem odd to go backwards in terms of hardware, but the way I see it, yeah, it was logical to jump to the SNES, especially by 1995, I mean, good God. But the Game Boy was still, at the time, the king of handheld gaming, so the player base was likely still thriving. And when Pokemon came out a year later, I mean, need I say more? We're now entering what fans call the Dark Matter Trilogy, and behind the director's chair for this game, Dreamland 3 and Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards was not Masahiro Sakurai, but rather Shinichi Shimomura, who got a start in the video game industry with the 1991 Hyperzone. After that, and until Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland for the Game Boy Advance in 2002, Kirby was all that he worked on, and after that, he just disappeared. I can't find shit about this dude otherwise. He was a map designer in Kirby's Adventure and a couple of spin-offs, he was making his directorial debut with these, and then he just vanishes off the face of the earth, and for the life of me, I can't find anything else. Did he quit the industry? Did he move on to greener pastures, hopefully? I hope he's okay, What I find a little odd is that Masahiro Sakurai, from what I understand, had absolutely nothing to do with these next few games, except for Superstar, which he would turn to direct. I don't know. It's like if Shigeru Miyamoto made Super Mario Brothers, and then after the second game, he was like, no, you guys can take the next 3. Past interviews would later highlight that Sakurai had a disdain for sequels, which I know seems laughable nowadays with Smash Brothers and all that, but that's so weird to think about. Kirby is one of Nintendo's most well-known franchises, and to think, after Adventure on the NES, this man was already thinking of moving on to other stuff. I'm sorry, I got a little off track there. Okay, Kirby's Dream Land 2. You know, I'm a little bummed that we're back to grayscale graphics given how colorful Adventure was last time. But Dream Land 2 was one of the few games that had Super Game Boy support, and for this review that's how we're gonna play it. I wouldn't call the color palette as vivid as Adventure, but it's better than nothing. Unfortunately, without using an emulator, this is also the only way to get Dream Land 2 with color, since the version on the 3DS eShop and the Anniversary Collection on the Wii use the default grayscale, and I don't know why. Seems like such a silly exclusion. Let's tackle that story real quick though, for as much as that means here. The rainbow bridges that connect the Rainbow Islands together have been stolen by the evil Dark Matter. So Kirby, along with his new friends Rick, Coo, and Kind, set off to beat him up. And that's it. Never let anyone tell you that Kirby games don't have simplistic plots even for Nintendo standards. We can get into the friends in a second here. As far as Kirby goes, well, he can't dash anymore, nor can he slide, so we not only went backwards in consoles, we also sort of went back in movesets. But as before, Kirby is still capable of sucking up bad guys and copying their abilities, from a fiery midair tackle to a sharp boomerang toss to a lethal all-encompassing spark. Compared to Adventure, however, the number of skills Kirby can use alone have been reduced from an impressive 24 to a measly 7. Quite a substantial drop, but this was done to emphasize the importance of Kirby's new friends, Rick the hamster, Coo the owl, and Kind the fish, representing ground, air, and sea respectively. In every level, you'll find one of these guys trapped in a burlap sack, and you free them by clearing the area, whether it be common fodder or a mini-boss of the sort. You can think of these guys like Yoshi in Super Mario World. They can serve as extra hit points and excel in certain terrain. Except Rick, who as far as I can tell is just Kirby with no means of flight. Let's start there, I don't like Rick. I mean, I'm sure he's a great guy, probably covers the diner bill and tips well, but without the ability to fly, there's a couple of times where it's just straight up impossible to proceed along. This kinda goes for Kind as well, who I should stress is great for underwater areas. That was always a spot Kirby suffered in individually since he couldn't inhale enemies while submerged, and could only attack with his swatter spit, assuming he didn't already have an ability. Underwater, Kind feels like an honest-to-God power-up. Your movements enhanced, control's great and all that, extra points if you have the spark ability while using him, because that light bulb attack is aces and has great coverage. Outside of water, which the game tries to make you do on occasion, this dude fucking blows. You know what it is? It's like trying to use the frog suit outside of water in Mario 3, a handicap in every sense, it sucks. The only friend I like in almost every sense is Coo. With him on board, Kirby's flight gets a huge upgrade, his maneuverability is better overall, and together they have some of the best power-ups. You get this triple shot with the cutter ability, and that's really cool to use, and shit, if you have the parasol, you can spin around for a couple of seconds, making you completely invincible. It's broken as hell, in a Kirby game of all things. I don't mind the idea of giving Kirby new friends, shit, I'm a Sonic fan, it's expected at this point, but the game's primary means of selling them is by limiting Kirby. Like with Rick here, his ground speed is a little faster than what Kirby can manage, which is only significant because they got rid of Kirby's dash from the get-go. And if you have the burning ability, the two can do this flamethrower attack, which Kirby can do himself with no hamster to speak of in the last game. I don't know, it's one thing to limit the number of power-ups altogether, but now, if there's a certain ability you want, you also gotta have the right friend to do it. I don't like that. Even though, I don't know, I suppose it's not that much different than needing a certain enemy to get the ability you really want it in past games. But you know, most enemies don't have power-ups at all here, your friends are only in certain rooms and specific levels, the deck is stacked against you in that way. I'll give the game credit for encouraging players to experiment with the powers available along with your three friends. It's likely you might find the right combination and go to town, if that animal friend is even available in that level. Now that I think about it a little more, I guess nothing's stopping you, from heading to a previous level, grabbing a friend, and then immediately exiting it to proceed along. Lord knows I did that plenty of times with Yoshi in Super Mario World. I don't think it's an absolute necessity to do so, but it certainly makes the adventure a little more interesting, because good god is the level design boring in this game. Whew, we got 7 worlds in this game, each of them rocking at least 4 stages apiece, that number going up the further you move along, but man, I couldn't even begin to tell you what I thought about the journey until the final world. Level design can be extremely rudimentary, even for Kirby, borderline brain dead, doubly so if you have the right friend. By that I mean Coo. Seriously, I don't think they properly playtested with this dude. For the final world, stage 6 with the auto-scroller that has fatal dead ends? What the fuck is this bullshit? It's so unlike the series at this point. Yeah, I know, different director and all that, but the trial and error is strong here. And stage 7 with the fucking cheap shots? God damn, you only have like a split second to react to that. It just rubs me the wrong way. The whole game isn't like this, but everything else is relatively bland by comparison. The only semblance of something interesting involves these rainbow drops. There's 7 of these total, 1 in each world, and they're needed to get the best ending. Getting them not only requires a specific power-up, but also the right animal buddy, and yeah, that can bring its own issues with how if you mess up, you gotta reset the stage and try again, or if you need a specific animal buddy, you also gotta pick them up too, but damn it, it's something at least. Rainbow drops can be fun little brain teasers. The only one I found annoying to collect was the last one because it required careful use of all 3 of your friends. I appreciate the game trying to bring in some light puzzle solving to make up for what it lacks elsewhere, but that's only really a thing when rainbow drops are involved. Very momentary because there's only one of these per world. I'm sorry to beat a dead horse, but again, I think a major culprit of this game's mediocrity is the removal of so many abilities from last time. Sure, stages in previous games weren't overly complex to start, but I feel there was a level of excitement you experienced seeing a new enemy pop in and thinking about what they might have in store, but most of the time here, check the enemy list in the Kirby Wiki and look how many enemies give you absolutely nothing. It's quite alarming. We're almost back to Dreamland 1 territory, which in case you forgot, had no copy ability to speak of. Spoiler warning, this is also a major complaint I had with Dreamland 3, but without that variety, everything else feels substantially emptier, and it's much easier to notice how remarkably barren the level design is. The animal friends help in making things a little more exciting, but only in the proper circumstances and if they're even worth it at all. I'm sorry, Rick, it's not you, it's me, I'm used to better. I didn't like this one. First Kirby game I've experienced that I actively didn't find much enjoyment from. To me, it's a step back in every sense from adventure, and the new animal friends don't do enough in picking up the slack. There was some fun in zipping around with Ku and swimming underwater with Kine, but I'll be damned if I can say anything was just as fulfilling. You can skip this one. And I want to say it gets much better in the follow-up Kirby Dream Land 3, but not really. Mechanically speaking, I should say. Visually, this game has a great look. This is what I was talking about last time with Kirby games often having the advantage of being late releases for the respective consoles so that developers can take full advantage of knowledge accumulated throughout the years. And in the case of Kirby's Dream Land 3, a late 1997 Super Nintendo title, it shows. The game looks damn good. I love the hand-drawn look, the soft and serene color palette. It gives off a very cozy feeling, very relaxing to the game's benefit and detriment. It's too relaxed in my opinion. This is a case where I feel the aesthetic came first and everything else second. As for the story, okay, so you collected the rainbow drops in Dreamland 2 and faced off against King Dedede, who's been possessed by dark matter. With the power of your final battle exclusive rainbow sword, you took down both forms of dark matter and sent them to oblivion. But then, dark matter just shows up again here, and this time he's enveloped the entirety of Kirby's world Popstar in his corruptible essence. Once again, it's up to Kirby and his animal friends to save the day, and off you go. It's Dreamland 2 on a bigger scale. More stages, more animal friends, more of the same problems. My complaints for Dreamland 3 are almost one for one the same I have with Dreamland 2. I don't know, has that ever happened on this channel yet? I can't think that far back. Firstly, once again, Kirby's personal move pool is dramatically lower than Adventure. He got his dash and slide back at least, and though Superstar was the first to do this bit, Dreamland 3 lets Kirby hold on to his copy ability even after getting hit. You gotta take a few of those now to lose the skill, and I do love that. That's a great quality of life update. There's also this new cleaning ability where Kirby can sweep the ground. Woo! But the total number of copy abilities is still substantially smaller, and the only way you're getting more variety is with your animal friends once again. Rick, Ku, and Kine are back in action, and all 3 have gotten some tweaks. Rick can't inhale things like Kirby anymore, and he still can't fly, but he can wall jump like in Mega Man X, and off the top of my head, it was only needed for 1 level in a game that has over 30. Ku was noticeably nerfed as far as combinations go. There's nothing terribly broken about him this go around, but he's still plenty useful if you ask me. Fast in the air, he's got some good skills. I ended up using the burning dive bomb a lot this time. Love the way it sounds when you use it. Kine is about the same as before, but now he isn't totally useless outside of water. Your ground movement is now relatively untouched. I mean, you can't fly of course, but it's better than before, and that's something to highlight. But there's 3 more friends added to the mix, and you can consider these alternatives to the original 3. There's Nago the cat, Pitch the bird, and Choo Choo the chewed up gum. I don't know, what is she supposed to be? Let me see here. An octopus. My mistake. I guess I can see it. Anyway, like with the other 3, you can get some unique power-ups when using them with one of Kirby's copy abilities, and from my experience, they're okay. To me, Pitch is just a weaker Ku. Flight ability doesn't even compare, and some of his combinations are awkward to use, like the remote-controlled Spark. Choo Choo can't fly, but she can sort of hop about 3 times, not very good in its own merits, but she can cling on to ceilings, which isn't all that fancy in a game where Kirby can naturally fly. If I remember correctly, the only time it's ever used for anything is when you have to bring her to a friend in one specific stage to complete a challenge. Nago is my favorite of the new 3. He's a slightly better Rick in my opinion. He can't fly of course, and he can't wall jump, but I think he has better power combinations than Rick does. I love the Spark Roll, it's the yarn ball of doom and great for grounded threats. Nago also has a damn good triple jump, which is like the creme creme de la creme of abilities to have in a platformer, and it doesn't cut your momentum in half like Kirby's Flight. New friends are nice, and they're easily more available now than in Dream Land 2, mainly because you can just find them in rooms now without having to fight a boss. They try to guilt trip the shit out of you too if you don't pick them. You find a couple grouped up together, you go ahead and pick one, and the one you don't choose gets all sad and shit. Oh come on Rick, Jesus, I don't even know you like that, man. Go home to your girlfriend, she misses you, fuck. There's also this one, Gooey here. He technically made his debut in Dream Land 2. He would pop out of a friend bag if you already had that friend available. Nothing terribly special, which is why I didn't mention him until now, but he's fully playable this time. This game has co-op, and the second player takes control of Gooey, but if you don't have anyone around, you can summon him at any time as an assist character. He can eat up enemies and copy their abilities just like Kirby, though most of the time the computer only seems interested in shooting out projectiles, which helps, but you know, kinda limited. Gooey also has his own health bar, unlike your other friends who now share the same health pool as Kirby. That is a little disappointing. Gooey's alright, but often I forgot he was even a thing. I guess I've gotten too used to playing Kirby games alone as single-player adventures. But the extra assistance is nice if you absolutely need it. I don't think you do, seeing as the game is perfectly playable without friends, your Gooey companion, or any of these guys otherwise. The level design, once again, is noticeably lax. The game asks very little of the player to complete a stage. You want to fly over everything? You can, and it feels like the game doesn't really stop you from doing so. Without going after the hard stars in every stage, Dream Land 3 can get pretty boring. But let's get into that for a moment. Dream Land 2 had those rainbow drops, this game has heart stars. And unlike before, there's one in every stage here. To get them, you have to complete a specific challenge the level offers. And I noticed every world shares a similar pattern. The first level often requires that you take care of flowers. Don't step on them, defrost them without burning them. Or in this level, you step on the flowers and leave the mushrooms alone because I guess the two can't coexist. Even Popstar has race wars. It's tragic. The second level focuses on making a certain character happy, either by using a specific power-up or whatever the hell Choo Choo does with this one. Nah, this can't be right. Why in God's name would a game like this— Oh God! No, wait, oh, what? Holy fuck, the little pink pup is immune to Metroids. Hey, so are his friends. Shit, what are we doing sending Samus to eradicate these things? Just have Kirby and his friends do the job. Hey Samus, good news. You're out of work. Fuck the Galactic Federation. So the third stages are these sub-games, and without save states, these are the most annoying. You gotta get the correct answer 3 times to get the heart star, and if you screw up just once, you have to reset the whole stage to try again. At the very least, they're in the middle of the path, so they're impossible to miss, but they are damn strict with memorization and eye coordination. The 4th and 6th stages are like search and rescue missions. You just find the hidden character or collectible using the right power-up and you're golden. The 5th stage is, yeah, no, I kind of jumped around there. These can be a real test, because these all require that you get a specific animal buddy to the end of the stage. And most of these aren't bad, but if you don't like one of these guys, God help you. The only one I remember actively disliking was the one where you had to take Pitch to his mom, because it requires a bit of back and forth with power-ups and kind. The solution is easy to figure out, it's just tedious, having to go around this way to get the burning power, then going back around the other way to get the stone power. Yeah, is nothing great. But the heart stars weren't a bad idea altogether. They're easily the most interesting thing about the game, but I feel these could have been easily added on top of having a standard Kirby adventure. Again, this was a game that wanted to give off a cute and relaxing vibe, and it does, no doubt, and as a Kirby game where the target demographic is of the younger variety, that isn't a bad thing. In fact, the relaxing vibe makes those surprisingly creepy moments more impactful. I'm playing the game, I'm about to end the first world, here's Wispy Woods again, that lackadaisical motherfucker, but about halfway through, oh, he's corrupted. He's angry and he's walking towards me now. That was unexpected, but it was memorable. The final boss is no slouch either. Well, firstly, you fight King DDD possessed by Dark Matter again. Can I get away with calling Dream Land 3 a glorified retread of Dream Land 2? That's fair, yeah, anyway. About halfway through the fight, things suddenly amp up when DDD's chest becomes a big fucking mouth, and in any other game, that's just terrifying to think about. You remember that scene from The Thing? It's the same thing, but this game's aesthetic certainly softens the blow. But then you get the Dark Matter itself, who starts off like his Dream Land 2 counterpart, but then his final form attacks by cutting himself open and bleeding on you. What's happening in this game? I mean, it's cool, but how did we get here? I know I still have to look at Kirby 64, the last of the Dark Matter Trilogy, and we'll get to that next time for sure, but I think I can say now that a much more relaxed and cozier Kirby is not really my style. But that could very much change for next time. We'll have to wait and see. But we're not done for today. We're out of order here now, I'm aware. But Superstar was released between Dream Land 2 and Dream Land 3, but thankfully, that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Superstar is very much its own thing. Kirby Super Star was Kirby's long-awaited debut for the Super Nintendo in early 1996. But for this video, I'm actually going to be covering the Nintendo DS remake released in 2008, Kirby Super Star Ultra. Though the original is easily available thanks to Kirby's Dream Collection on the Wii and the Nintendo Switch Online service, I'm going to tell you now, get Ultra instead. I'll get more into the details in a second of course, but Ultra has more content and the graphics got a beautiful update. Superstar was already a good-looking game, but Ultra streamlines the overall design to make it more in line with Kirby games from the early 2000s, while also upping the resolution and the dual screens help in making things less cluttered. We got Masahiro Sakurai back in the director's chair for this one, and I mean, you can see it all over the place. The make and feel of Superstar radiates with the same energy as the original Dream Land and Adventure on the NES. This is more in line with what I'm familiar with, so already I was feeling right at home, you could say. The aesthetic isn't quite as expressive as Dream Land 3, yes, but the graphics are no less colorful or detailed and the music is great. One of my favorite soundtracks in the series so far, if for any reason, then by giving me the full version of King Dedede's theme. I love that track. Rather than being one giant game, Superstar is a collection of several smaller games. They're all fundamentally similar, mechanically speaking, however, with two exceptions. You're always in control of Kirby, he's as capable as he's always been, and now he has this new guard ability, which I completely underestimated at first. I'm thinking, why would I need a guard button? But the more you use it, the more you realize, damn, this move is a lifesaver in boss fights. You either take less damage with certain attacks, or you completely negate them. Use that guard button, it's useful. Nearly all the classic power-ups are back, and that makes me moist. Jesus Christ, okay, I'll tone it down. You can also now perform different techniques with copy abilities depending on directional inputs, almost like a precursor to Smash Brothers thinking about it. Like with the hammer, you can swing it around normally if you want, you can do a spinning dash on the ground, but by pressing up and the attack button at the same time, you can also do this megaton uppercut that fucks everything up. Here comes a mini-boss. There goes a mini-boss. A lot of abilities have stuff like this, giving Kirby so much potential in movement, offense, and defense, and they're easy to learn too. All you gotta do is pause the game and look at the command list. It's great. This was the game to introduce Kirby's new copy hats too, which I love. They're a cool visual indicator of the kind of power-up you're currently using, while also giving the game a ton of cute charm. It's an asset that I'm glad became mainstay starting with this game. Okay, I mean after Kirby 64, I don't know, maybe Shimomura didn't like hats. You don't have animal friends here, but when you have a copy ability, you can press a button to convert that skill into a friendly helper to help dish out the pain and clear the pathway. Superstar and Ultra also have co-op, so a friend can join in on the adventure. If not, you have to rely on the computer, and they're normally good for the extra chip damage, but goddamn do they not give a shit about clear and present danger. It does not matter if there are hazards around and all that, they are out for blood and they will not stop until the enemy is dead or until they blow up. Well, if they do take a beating, you can always share your food with them again by chewing it up and spitting it right into his mouth. Hey, that's what you do in the game. I know it's gross, but that's exactly what happens. The circle of life. You guys ever watched the second Ace Ventura movie? Superstar goes the extra mile on making sure you know how in-game mechanics work. Almost every game gives you the option of looking at a tutorial before you begin. How Kirby works, what's this game all about, everything a kid might need to get started, and let's just say, I'm glad we can skip it. Though I hear the original game on the Super Nintendo gave you this prompt even if you already cleared the game, so yeah, that can be annoying, I'd imagine. 8 games in one. It's actually 9, over 13 if you include the ones Ultra thrown into the mix, but that was the original tagline. There are also these super bite-sized sub-games that are a little more than time sinks. I didn't spend much time on these. Look at this, you get all these different games in one package, almost like a functional Action 52. I guess we should start going down the list. When you start the game, you can only choose Spring Breeze. Okay, here we go. Some call him Kirby? Hey, gimmick infringement, motherfucker. But wait, if only some call him that, what the hell do others call him? Marshmallow? So, did you ever want the original Kirby's Dream Land with copy abilities? Because that's what Spring Breeze is, a remake of Dream Land with copy abilities. And as the name states, it is a breeze. Good God, do copy abilities already break this easy game in half? But seeing as this is the only game you can choose from the start, the easy difficulty is entirely intentional, and it is a good way to get things going if you ask me. However, Ultra also brings in Revenge of the King, which is a remake of Dream Land's Extra mode. It's certainly harder with new enemies, remixed levels, and harder boss patterns, but it's not one-to-one the same. I still think the original Extra mode is more chaotic, but you fight a souped-up version of Kabula in this mode, and as a fan of space shooters, I love this battle. Much better than the Game Boy version. This is a great fight. But But King DDD isn't messing around either. He gets this new mask, a much bigger hammer. Look at that superiority complex at work, holy shit. I gotta give some love though to DDD's new lackey. It's just a Waddle Dee with a bandana, but when you tear through DDD's last line of defense during the castle siege and he's all that's left, he knows he doesn't stand a chance, but he stands up to you anyway because damn it, he's a good soldier that's stuck in the corner with my fire breath. Vaya con Dios, Bandana D. Alright, afterwards we got Gourmet Race and Dynablade. I like that name, I don't know why. Gourmet Race is superficial as hell. It's just you in a race against King DDD and who can eat the most food and cross the finish line first. I wouldn't recommend doing that in real life for the record. Let's just say you'll be sharing your food with everyone involuntarily. Dynablade has Kirby trying to stop this majestic looking bird from causing a ruckus, but then you get to the end of it and find out she was only trying to protect and feed her children. Nothing much more than that, all a big misunderstanding. I think one of them dies of cardiac arrest at the end. That's a bit tragic. Okay, we completed those and now we unlock the Great Cave Offensive, everyone's favorite Kirby stage in Smash Bros. I'm sure. Kirby goes and gets himself trapped inside this humongous cave after not minding his surroundings, and instead of just flying up to escape, he has to travel through these caverns to get out. It's a more non-linear adventure with every area connecting via these minecarts. Nothing stopping you from going back and forth in case you missed anything, and if you wonder why you would even do that, well, that's because the main goal of this game is not just escaping, but collecting as much treasure as possible along the way. There's 60 pieces of treasures total, and a shitload of them require careful use of your abilities and observation, otherwise you're getting those occasions where you do something reckless and now you suddenly can't get that treasure anymore, you hot-headed dumbass. This game does that a lot. I only managed to get about half of the total treasure on my first run, and I'm like, oh, please don't tell me I have to collect them all to unlock other modes. You don't, you just need to finish it. I don't mind this game, but the Metroidvania approach feels half-baked. One of the joys of that genre for me is the joy of progressing via means of upgrades and getting stronger and all that. Kirby still rocks his copy skills, and using them to open up new pathways to get treasures is fine, but it's not as fulfilling. Maybe if this were its own game with more time to stew, I'd likely enjoy it more, but I didn't feel the need to overstay my welcome here. But we clear that, and now we have Revenge of Meta Knight. This is one of my favorites. It's just as short as the other games, but the premise alone sells it. Meta Knight has grown sick of how lazy the inhabitants of Dreamland have gotten, so he takes off on his ship, the Halberd, and threatens to conquer the land. But Kirby doesn't like his Sunday naps being disturbed, so he raids the ship and starts fucking everything up. It's a very kinetic game. Enemies are thrown at you everywhere. There's a time limit to raise the stakes, so it's nothing really to worry about, I think. And throughout the whole thing, you can see Meta Knight's crew planning their next attack or how they'll attempt to stop your progression, and when things don't go as planned, they go and start to panic, and it's so cool to see that in action. It makes you want to keep going until you get to the end with Meta Knight. He's still insisting on giving me a sword for combat. I mean, I don't mind, but unlike last time, he won't wait around forever. He'll start attacking you regardless if you grab the sword or not. I like to think it's because, well, we're both on a sinking ship and there isn't much time to spare, which will be a good attention to detail. So you beat him up, the airship starts exploding, Kirby's making his getaway, but good lord, Meta Knight is tenacious. He really liked that ship. But Kirby manages to escape in time, and Meta Knight learns the hard way that you don't fuck with Kirby's lifestyle. Next up is Milky Way Wishes. So the sun and moon are fighting again, which is apparently normal in Kirby, I've learned. To get them to stop, this cute little jester thing called Marks tells Kirby that he needs to seek the help of Nova, who can only grant wishes if Kirby manages to restore its power. So Kirby travels across the galaxy visiting different worlds and doing just that. And eventually he manages to summon Nova, but shock and all, the little jester jumps in and steals the wish for himself, making him all powerful for a few minutes before Kirby wipes the floor with him. Better luck next time, Marks. For some reason, unlike other games, Kirby can't inherently copy abilities here. He's back to Dreamland 1 territory, apparently. Instead, copy abilities are permanently given to you if you manage to find them in their respective stages. And yeah, once you get it, it's yours for good, and you can freely switch between the ones you collect as you play. Use them to help find other powers, maybe find 1 or 2 health packs. If anything, I like to think of it as a better Great Cave Offensive, with rewards that mean a little more. A concept overall that has amazing potential that doesn't quite hit the mark because of how short this game is. This is my overall issue with Superstar. It has great ideas, but all these games are just too short or small to take advantage of them. You know, in Japan, this game is called Kirby's Fun Pack. And you know what that reminds me of? You remember when you were a kid, you went to the supermarket with your folks, you get to the cereal aisle, and you saw those variety packs, and you think, oh man, it's like 8 cereals in one, I want that. The problem is, yeah, you get a ton of options, but you don't get much of those cereals individually, and who the fuck likes Frosted Cheerios? Kirby Superstar has the same issue. You get a decent variety, but individually, the games don't stack up to a full-out adventure. Granted, there's still a lot of things to enjoy about this game. and collectively, Superstar is one of the better Kirby games out there, at least from what I experienced. But throughout the whole thing, I kept saying to myself, man, I wish there was more of this, or I wish there was more of that. My favorite mode in Superstar, Superstar Ultra specifically, is Meta Nightmare Ultra. Just like Meta Nightmare mode in Nightmare in Dream Land, you take control of Meta Knight and slash your way through Spring Breeze, Dynablade, Great Cave Offensive, his own ship, sending me mixed signals there buddy, and Milky Way Wishes. You collect points as you destroy things, and you can use those to heal yourself, summon a friend for extra damage, speed yourself up, or cause a screen nuke to rush past bosses and all that. It is so much fun, so fast paced. You don't get copy abilities, but the game is perfectly playable with just your sword and reflexes. But the one thing I like the most about this mode is that it demonstrates how much better Superstar could have been if the games were combined and made more cohesive. That can go a long way in leaving a lasting impression, and it sure as shit did for me. I love this mode, the design, the controls, the battle with the Galacta Knight at the end. This is a cool boss fight, an excellent incentive for completing an already fantastic mode. But the last couple of modes are Arena, Helper to Hero, and True Arena. These are all of the boss rush variety. It's you versus all the bosses you face throughout all the modes, using a limited supply of healing items and your copy ability of choice. Fucking All-Stars mode in Melee was just a Superstar reference all along, I feel so betrayed. But nothing complicated about these, it's a boss rush. Though in Helper to Hero, instead of controlling Kirby, you take control of one of the many allies Kirby can enlist in other modes. I tried to use Plasma at first because of their full range and movement, and when fully charged, that projectile does a shitload of damage. But charging the damn thing requires that you do full rotations on the D-pad, and fighting against bosses while constantly doing fucking this shit, that's exhausting. So I just went with Bonkers and his hammer. The hammer skill is so good in this game. It's also what I used to clear out True Arena. This is the last mode you unlock in Superstar Ultra, where you got less healing items than in regular Arena, and they also throw in the new bosses from the extra modes into the mix, complete with a new fight against Mark's Soul. Again, use that guard button because that shit saves lives. God damn, again with the screaming. Go ahead and make a fucking hair metal band with Kirby. Well then, I think that's enough Kirby games for one sitting. I do want to take some time to thank my brother Elliot for lending me his copy of Kirby Superstar Ultra. I only had the Super Nintendo version, but I knew this one had more stuff in it and I didn't have it, so he lent me his. Elliot, thank you very much. This is something I'm going to add to my collection, definitely. I did have a great time with this one, despite, the shortcomings of its length and all that, not fully realizing its potential. Next time, though, I'm definitely going to be taking it a little easier. I'm just going to be looking at Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, the last of the Dark Matter Trilogy. And then afterwards, I think I'm going to take a look at a few of the Game Boy Advance games before we, wrap up this marathon properly. But in the meantime, back to Resident Evil I go. But as always, thank you all for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and take care.